Well, let's talk about Better Days. That's a good name for a record, and with the song titles and the music that I've heard off that, where did that come from? Better Days.
You know, I have been through a million band changes, it seems like, and I had a member that was just really unhappy, and
yeah,
he was more unhappy with himself and just, it was like, so I told Sweetie, I said, there's got to be better days coming for me and him both, and
there you go.
I was like, hey, wait a minute, there's something there. And we were headed down to, I think we were actually going to Rudy Fest to play it. And she was going with me, and I just started telling her my song idea, and she started giving it back to me. And next thing I knew, we got down there and we had a song wrote, and I gave her a co-write on it. And
that's it.
Wrote it about a feller thinking that a breakup wasn't gonna, he was gonna get better sooner or later,
Yeah, that's good, man. I like it.
Thanks.
That's how that songwriting stuff works, Hey, it can always get it when you ain't supposed to,
Oh yeah, she hates it, especially when we're having an argument and one of us will say something. I'm like, wait a minute. She goes, don't you
let me write this down. Promise I won't use your name.
Yeah.
Well, your first song off that album that we're going to play on the radio show is "Better Days Are Coming," and is that sort of like, is that the song that we're talking about that you wrote on the way? Well, man, that's great. That's incredible. Well, good.
It's Sweetie's first writing credit with me, so I was excited about that, man.
Oh man, she's something else, man. Let me tell you.
She's something.
Now the next one we're gonna play is Country Sunday. Where'd you get that one from?
Man, Country Sunday, a guy in Nashville by the name of Cheryl Blackman.
Yeah.
He was actually like, this guy has been in like Rolling Stones who top 10 in the music business people. I mean, This guy is the real deal.
That's cool.
And he pushes songs to huge artists, and for some reason we struck up a friendship, and he has sent me songs that he thought would work for me. And honest to God, I think I've had a Cheryl Blackman song that he sent me. He wasn't the writer on it, but he sends it, he does he sends it out, and
right.
Man, that song came from him. And the first time I heard it, my granny came from a family of 9, and up until my great-grandmother and great-grandfather passed away, we used to have huge dinners every Sunday at their house. I mean, it'd be, anywhere from 30 to 50 people every single Sunday. And this is what this song talks about. And dude, I the first time I heard it, I had big tears rolling down my face, and I was like, if it brings back that much nostalgia to anybody else,
yeah,
it's worth it. And it just turned out to be one of my favorite cuts.
That's it. All right, well, let's talk about Thing About Kindness.
That's a song, man. Corley Barker, who is an amazing songwriter. He's had songs on TV shows, Smallville, and all kinds of things. I think he's had a Luke Bryan cut. He's had some huge cuts.
Wow.
Uber talented guy. And I'm very fortunate with some of the acquaintances and friends that I've made. And he's one of them. And he sent me this thing. And, man, it struck home with me, because the whole thing is, the thing about kindness, it don't cost a thing.
That's right.
And
it's all free.
Right now, we all need that, man. I went today to get dog food. I've got a herd, a pack of dogs that I feed. And, people are just, there's so much meanness and rudeness. And I just, man, it's just, everybody needs to think about a little more kindness toward each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes things happen in life to turn those things around. And I hate to say it, I tell my wife all the time, hey, maybe this whole thing is that we're going through right now in this country. Maybe it's to tell everybody to slow down and look back on how your grandparents used to have to live. And some people are growing their own food. I mean, they're getting self-sufficient, and that's the big deal. I mean, the government's doing everything they can to help us with this, but I think in the future we're all going to have to be more self-sufficient.
I think man. I mean, it's hard. Back when I was growing up, we had to pull our own weight. I mean, we had 2 gardens that
yeah, that's
we
it.
worked every evening, and we canned and I just think that I think you're right. I think we're too self-sufficient or not enough self-sufficient. And I think we need to go back to, trying to help take care of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I agree with you.
Every bit of it, I mean, that's just what I've come out of it with. Well, now a long time ago, I think it was the 5th annual Wimmer Festival, I set you and Larry Cordell down, and you guys were just bouncing off the walls about a new song that you had put on the Hatfields and McCoy's record, and called Blood Feud.
Yeah.
And that's the next one we're gonna get off this list of songs, man, because I'm gonna tell you something. Anytime you can sit down, this like I do. Anytime you sit down with Larry Cordell for 5 minutes, you're gonna learn something.
Dude, he is just one of the most amazing people.
He is.
And I mean, you look at folks like Tyler Childers, who is absolutely tearing up the world was until this all happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Cordell is one of his idols, just like he's one of mine.
Exactly.
And he's just a treasure. And I tell everybody that and a lot of folks know that we're pretty close.
Sure.
And they ask me about him, and I tell everybody that I talk to about him that I think it's horrible if everybody don't get 5 minutes with Cordell, because he's that special of a person.
He is. Every time I just get, a minute or two on the phone with him, he always says there's a quote or something that comes out of this man's mouth that I think about later.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow.
He's so intelligent and so kind and so godly that
he's like a vehicle, for all of this to come through almost.
He's a wonderful person for people like me and you to strive to be more like. I mean, he's really that kind of dude.
That's true. Well, what about Change Your Mind? Where'd you get the influence for that record?
Man, I had a best friend, and this is a little bit off of the story of this, but it all goes back to it. Growing up, I had a dear friend of mine that passed away due to epilepsy seizures.
Mm.
And his older brother, I never actually had an older brother, but his older brother was always kind of looking out for me too. And when Tony passed away, we just took that spot, and he was my big brother and I was his little brother.
Yeah.
And you met him, Big Jamie, Jamie Bigford. He went on so many show runs and interviews, and I mean, he just went everywhere with me. When he wasn't hauling sick kids to the Shriners Hospital, and we were together, and me and Sweetie got into just a little bit of a tiff.
No.
And, yeah, just a little. And
okay, that's cool.
I was more aggravating her than mad. She was kind of getting PO'd, but I was just kind of egging it on, making Jamie laugh. And he said, well, son, now what would you do if she just decided that she wasn't putting up to her foolishness no more and left? And I said, well, I have to change her mind. And
you go.
He said, well, what if you couldn't? I said, I'd have to change her mind. I said,
yeah.
She can't go nowhere.
So did you give her a co-ride on that one?
No, I didn't give her a co-ride on that one. But when she saw me get up and get my notebook, she was like, are you doing
I totally
so that's where it comes from, man.
That's it.
The first few lines that she was leaving and I was grieving, and she didn't even stop to cry,
Oh man, that's when you're in trouble. You know, deep trouble.
Oh yeah.
Well, Dave, old buddy, it's been good talking to you, and I appreciate you so much, man. You've been just a big part of my life, and
Man, you've been a big part of mine, and
I miss
appreciate it.
seeing
I've
you.
missed you. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, we'll get together. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
So
I
how
can
much
feel
weight have you dropped? What's
it.
up with that?
I was at 301, and I'm at 260 now, so I've dropped about 40 pounds.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to do better. I turned 51, and I said, hey, I need to stay alive. You know,
this whole thing about living looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, it looks all right right now.
Well, if I'd have knew I was going to live this long, I'd have took way better care of myself.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, man, we're gonna let you get back to what you were doing, and God bless you, and I'll see you
too,
soon, buddy.
God bless you.
Dave Adkins
Love you. Take care, man.
Love you too, brother. Dave Adkins live on Net Radio Dogs Road Show. Thank you.